Robbie Bacon, Associate Editor of RideApart here in Milan at EICMA 2025. But forget about me, forget about the publication, forget about everything else, because next to me
are two of the best bikes to come out of EICMA this year. I'd go as far as to say they could be the best bikes.
EICMA wasn't a letdown this year, but it wasn't blowing the pants off me until I heard Ducati's presentation. That I think some other people were suspecting, but not too many people wanted to speak about it in case it didn't happen. That new V2 engine that we find in the Panigale V2 is being used in other platforms, as it should be, because it is saving weight, producing enormous power for what it weighs.
The dream I had was that it would go into a new Hypermotard, and it has. The Hypermotard V2 and V2 SP. The Hypermotard is actually 20 years old. It was launched at EICMA in 2005, and 20 years later, as it should be, we have the most powerful and lightest Hypermotard ever. And that's mainly down to the new V2 in it. It's good for 120 horsepower at 10,750 RPM and 94 Newton meters of torque at, I think, 8,250 RPM.
I believe it makes 70% of that torque from 3,000 RPM. But you can rail it all the way to 11. But I think you're going to be living in the mid-range, and that should make a lot of B-road riders happy. Now, the new twin sheds about 6.4 kilos just compared to the old engine. But add on a few more trick parts like forged wheels, and the SP model weighs in at just 177 kilos. That is what Ducati say is wet, but it's Ducati's version of wet, which includes no fuel. The latest model has shorter gear ratios, so you're going to be banging through the quick shifter like a bloody metal musician. And when it comes time to bring it down into the first corner, you're biting down on Brembo M50s, or at least you are on the SP. Look, it's a Ducati. Everybody is going to want the SP. That's just the way it works. So right now we've just been talking about the SP specs, and we'll continue highlighting a couple more specs that will only be found on the SP. The trick parts you're looking at on this bike compared to the regular V2 version are Öhlins suspension at the front and rear, Ducati's power launch, and a Ducati pit limiter, to name a few. All this is controlled through a 5-inch TFT dash. And then for sprinkles and giggles, they threw in carbon fiber wherever they could, like the front fender as mentioned, and even the chain guard. Now, this video is coming straight to you from EICMA, so I actually don't have the dollars to hand, but it's going to cost €19,890 here in Italy, I assume. So we'll get those dollars up on the screen right here between my hands, and that's how much the SP is going to cost. Now, if you want to move from the SP down to the V2, you'll still be pretty happy. Compared to the SP, it is literally a downgrade, but you're downgrading to Brembo M4.32 calipers. Not much of a downgrade if you ask me. You get KYB suspension at the front and the back. You lose the forged wheels, but you still get cast alloy ones. All the fancy trick bits on the SP only save you 3 kilos. We'll get the pounds again coming up here between my hands, but it's not that much. And again, that is Ducati's wet weight with no fuel. Again, we're going to have to interview a Ducati exec or engineer sometime to find out how they move with no fuel. Another decent trick component you lose is the lithium-ion battery on the SP, and you're swapping that out for a lead acid on the V2 standard. There's so much talk these days about usable bikes and usable power. Make super bikes usable again. That's like go back 30 years. Make super sports usable, make them comfortable. Don't make anything. Go and try this, because I think this is the bike that we are talking about. There's so much that points towards usability on B roads and not having to bring it to a go-kart track to make it feel like you're pushing it. Because it's still 120 horsepower, 94 Newton meters of torque. The short gear ratios, the somewhat upright riding position that's that bit more comfortable, that bit more usable. There's so much talk around using super bikes and super sports to their full potential. But look at this bike. I can't say for sure you can use it to its full potential. I don't know your riding ability. I can't say I can use it to its full potential. I'm almost certain I can't. but I would say I feel a lot closer to using it to its potential than even the Panigale V2 or never mind the V4. And I think that has to have been a conversation that happened at Ducati. Even just thinking about the short gear ratios, like on a B road, just banging through the gears, making it feel like you are working the bike. Until I find my next dream bike, I will be looking for ways to sneak the Hypermotard V2 SP out of EICMA. So subscribe and like this video, and the next one will either be coming from an Italian prison or a B road. Cheers.